Om Shanti, continued from part 11, heading Knowledge Leads to Samadhi. So many men and women received exalted experiences at Dada's satsang, which came to be called Om Mandali, that it is impossible to recount them all. But the following recollection of Sister Hriday Pushpaji is illustrative. Since childhood, I remember that when I used to hear news about a marriage among any of my relatives, I experienced unhappiness. Yet, I had no idea why I felt that way. And as the day of my own arranged marriage approached, I found myself constantly weeping. The desire to lead a spiritual life, always latent in me, came closer and closer to the surface of my consciousness. At last, when the day of my marriage arrived, I felt as if it were the day of my death. But there was no escape. Fortunately, my husband proved to be of a spiritual nature, and he had no feeling of lust in his mind. Not even in his eyes was there a trace of vicious attraction. And so, we lived together peacefully. When he became ill, I took care of him faithfully like a nurse. But never in my life entered any idea of lust between husband and wife. Despite medical treatment and complete attention, my husband's condition worsened. So, he left his body 6 months after our wedding. My parents became depressed. I was also unhappy, for a short time ago I had been a carefree, unmarried girl, and now people would look upon me as a widow. My brother had died young also, and my parents had not gotten over the shock yet. He had been the star of their eyes. Now, they were even more downcast. Looking at their despair increased my own unhappiness. The news of our grief reached many people in Hyderabad, for our family was wealthy and well known there. Eventually, Baba came to hear of our story. I had already heard much about Om Baba, how those who went to his satsang found peace of mind and even experienced visions. So, one day I went there. I watched him carefully, and I saw that what they said was true. Subtle peace poured out from him. Just by being in his presence, I felt happier suddenly. Baba asked me, "Who are you? Do you know who you are?" I said, "I am an unhappy woman." Again Baba said, "Okay, tell me whether the world is full of happiness or unhappiness." I said, "The world is full of great unhappiness." Baba said, "Sit down." He made me sit near him, and he drew a picture of a human being, showing the soul between the eyebrows. He explained it simply. "Look, this body is made of the 5 elements of matter. It is destructible, but the soul which is inside it possesses mind, intellect, and impressions or personality tendencies. The soul is conscious, eternal, and indestructible. Daughter, these 2 things are separate. The body dies and is burned. The soul is not burned. It goes from one body to another. Now, tell me which you are of these 2. Are you the body made of the 5 elements, or are you the soul?" I was stunned. A curtain had been lifted from my eyes. I said, "Baba, according to your explanation, I am a soul." Baba replied, "Daughter, The nature of the soul is peace. Peacelessness is the nature of Prakriti, that is, the physical elements. By identifying with those elements, you become peaceless. Now, tell me who said, I am an unhappy woman? Are you an unhappy woman? Or are you a peaceful soul? Upon hearing this, I lit up. Yes, I am a peaceful soul. I experienced the truth of Baba's words. Baba said, take your intellect away from the consciousness of the body. Be bodiless. Establish yourself in your eternal immortal form, the peaceful soul. See who you are. Do you see what form you have? As Baba spoke, I went into another state of consciousness. I forgot this body altogether. I saw myself as a dot of light. I had been weeping when I went to see Baba, but now I was going home laughing in divine intoxication. When I arrived home, I told my mother the story of what happened. She could see that a change came over me. I looked at her, sad face, and said, why do you weep? The soul is indestructible, eternal. You are that peaceful form. My mother felt new energy on hearing this. Her despair momentarily evaporated. She told me to go every day to hear Baba speak knowledge, and then to tell her all about it when I came back home. One day, soon after I told Baba about my mother and her unhappiness, Baba said, all right, I will come to see her. That very moment, Baba got up to go. He came into our house and met my mother. As soon as her eyes alighted on him, she went into a trance, realizing herself's true nature. She had a vision of the four-armed deity Vishnu. A beautiful expression of peace came upon her face. She stayed completely engrossed in meditation for a long time. After coming down again, she smiled so sweetly at Baba, and he gently explained godly knowledge to her. In this way, many persons receive lasting peace of mind. They experienced that Bhagwan, the Lord, had come to dispel the dark tyranny of happiness and to establish the true religion of inner peace. Next heading, Social Reformation. In those days, it was the custom in Sindh that when anyone died, the women of the family were to wear dirty black clothes and spend their days in ritual weeping. Hridaya Pushpaji's mother was caught in the same web of tradition. But after experiencing Baba and the spiritual knowledge which he showered on her, she was able to thrust aside those burdens of social restraint. She overcame her shyness and her sense of limitation and broke once and for all with all the backward, dehumanizing customs to which Indian women were subjected to. She threw out the dirty clothes she had been wearing and began to live again in freedom and happiness. How else should a self-realized soul be feeling? So many women became so deeply impressed with Baba's liberating message that today, together, they found it easy to adopt these reforms. Overnight, they changed their outlook radically and sent shock waves through their families by displaying so much personal power over their own lives. It was an unheard of development in that custom-bound land. On the other hand, there were also women who had come under Western influence previously and had adopted the habit of wearing fashionable European clothes and ornaments, jewelry and makeup. They had also adopted the Western proclivity towards hedonism and spent much time in satisfying the taste of the tongue. In the wealthier households, servants did all the cooking and other domestic work. These women were truly living lives of leisure and were the envy of much of the community. But now, many of them also came in contact with Baba, and they realized that they had gone too far in the wrong direction. Fashion was not freedom, and the indulgence did not bring happiness. Nor did others' envy bring any satisfaction. Those who realized the deep truth which Baba spoke gave up their attachment to finery and idleness. Their dress became simple once more, and they joined with the servants to do the household work. They again acquired control of their eating habits with Baba's guidance and spiritual might. The people of Sindh were amazed at the results, and a general feeling of respect for Om Mandali grew up in the community. Habits and social customs which were recognized to be bad, but which no one had been able to change for centuries, were eliminated by this gathering with a single flash of the shining sword of knowledge. Personal problems which people had been unable to curb throughout their lives were conquered with Baba's help. No wonder, then, that the fame of Om Mandali spread far and wide, and many families began to send their daughters there for satsang. To be continued further. Om Shanti.